Hello everyone, Steve here. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Klay World finale, Klay World All Gone. It was just released the other day, and Robert Benfer has been delaying it a few times because he's been working on it really hard and, trying to make it perfect. Well, he basically finally released it, and anyone who ordered the box set got a free copy of it through the email. Pre-ordered the box set. Yeah, so that's how I got it, and I will be doing a review on the box set when it comes to my house. But on to the review of Klay World All Gone. Now, I watched this movie and basically thought about how I would review it without spoiling it, and to be honest, there's not much else I can say other than basically there's a party on the Klay World table, and as you see in the trailers, a bunch of violence happens. He didn't release it's basically in the trailers it talks about Klay World being able to change, and that's a very interesting concept because as we know, Klay World's always been stupidity and violence. That's all it's been, and that's what made it so funny. But I basically decided that if I'm going to review this, I could pretty much only do a spoiler review, which sucks for those of you who haven't seen it and want to know about it. All I can tell you, without spoiling it, is this. It is an awesome movie. It's really well done, and when you see it, you will love it. But now is the part where I have to spoil everything and pretty much talk about the plot and stuff. So if you don't want to ruin it for yourself, sorry, I can't help you there. But basically what happens is it starts off with this very interesting flashback, I guess, and it shows a Clayman on a table. He gets up and he looks over at a big chunk of clay, and the coolest thing about it is, actually, I'll get back to this later, because basically, it just kind of flashes forward to, I guess, what is supposed to be present day. And there are all these Claymen at a party, and that's when Rick and Chip show up. The two main, I don't know if they're two main or protagonists, but Chip, the main protagonist from Klay World Off the Table, and his buddy Rick, with all the piercings in his face, come to the table and check out the party, and we see some characters like Chester, who has pretty much only been known as the long-armed guy with the silly voice. And we see the handyman. We see Pick. Pick is there. He's awesome. And Henry, whose face got shot off in Dr. Bob Saves the Day 3. But it's this big party, and basically all it is a bunch of Claymen sitting around eating hot dogs and salad and stuff. And that's when Dr. Bob, formerly, but now he's just Bob, comes in, and he basically wants to talk to Chip. He basically tells him Klay World's only secret, and that's how we go back to the flashback, where we see Dr. Bob is basically Dr. Bob explains that he was the person who created all the other Claymen, because he was the first Clayman there, and he basically saw this big chunk of clay and just made all the Claymen. And Chip is kind of interested by this, and he explains how he was a really good doctor at first, and as we all know, that Dr. Bob's only really killed people, and that's when basically he explains that after a while, helping all the Claymen get back to good health and all that stuff, and fixing them up, got boring, so he decided to start killing them. And basically, it's an explanation for all the random violence in Klay World, like why pancake mines randomly showed up on the table, and how the Claymen got guns and stuff. And of course, as Dr. Bob explains, it's not always him. Sometimes they figure it out for themselves, but most of the time it was him. And Chip is kind of freaked out by all this information. He's not exactly comfortable with it. And that's when he learns something even more intimidating, that Dr. Bob hid guns in the hot dogs and salads to pretty much create chaos on the table. And Dr. Bob was smart enough smart enough to pull this off, and basically it happens. A Clayman finds a gun in the hot dogs and starts shooting people, and one of them finds a sword, and basically a bunch of people start getting killed. There's violence everywhere, and that's when Chip decides to leave with Pick, Rick, and Marv as they all escape into what turns out to be the old room, as Dr. Bob just kind of sits, or Bob, I should start calling him Bob, he just kind of watches it all happen. And then Henry gets a hold of a minigun, I believe, and starts shooting a lot of the Claymen. And Dr. Bob, knowing Henry, decides to try and take him out by blowing him up with an RPG or something, a rocket launcher. And it goes back to the old room where the original Clay World series took place before they moved to the new room. And we see they go to the old Clay World, and I'm not really sure what the whole point of it was, but they just kind of wandered off into the other room where they see new Clay World as the Clay World from the Clay World Moves episode. And the guy who was left behind is a skeleton now. He's dead. It's pretty much the first time we see a full Clayman skeleton. But then, one of my favorite parts of this is we get to see Vince from Clay World Off the Table, voiced by Sammy Penrod, who is in a couple of different things from Robert Benford on his YouTube channel. And we see him return, but it's kind of random. And he basically just gets killed off by Marv, because Marv's trying to be like a double agent type character by killing Vince and trying to threaten the other characters, but Pick pretty much just kills him by kicking him into a thing. So I'm trying not to spoil the entire movie for you, but I think I'm doing a horrible job. But yeah, they go back. Dr. Bob, the giant Clayman, shows up. I thought that was kind of cool. It's kind of basically showing all the elements of the Clay World episodes, new and old, come together in the finale, which I really, really liked. And that's something that I guess I could have said in the non-spoiler part. But anyway, the Rick, Chip, and Pick return and try to convince everyone. Pick. Chip does his best job trying to tell everyone what Dr. Bob has been doing, and they all rebel against Dr. Bob because they believe they can change. And then that's when things go awry, and Dr. Bob kills some of the Claymen, and then basically it all leads up to Pick, gosh dang it, I keep saying Pick, Chip versus Dr. Bob. And I thought this was a huge turn of events for this movie, making Dr. Bob an antagonist, because up to this point, he's been a murderous doctor, but he's been a funny character to watch, and a character that I've enjoyed. And to see him go after the main protagonist in pretty much anything that he's been in, Chip, was kind of interesting. These two characters that were protagonists in Clay World Off the Table going up against each other, which I really, really liked, because I love it when villains, when it turns out a character that you really, really like in something turns out to be the antagonist. I think that was brilliant of Robert Benford to come up with that, and it was just a really awesome twist. But all in all, Clay World All Gone definitely is one of the best moments in Clay World history. I mean, Clay World Off the Table is good, but there has been a lot since Clay World Off the Table, and enough to build up some really good material for this finale. A lot of good Clay World nostalgia's in there, and a lot of good references from the more recent episodes are in there. That's what I like about it. It's a really good finale, and I definitely recommend it to any Clay World fan or any animation fan, because there's some pretty good animation there too. And it's funny. Like, there is some funny, just, yeah, that's a Clay World moment right there moments. Like, oh gosh, if that was... It's already some of the jokes in there are already classic. Like, there's one from Clayworld Off the Table that I absolutely love, where the Claymen, like, let's see, Mr. Black, Chip, Pick, and Smiling Gary are about to leave the table, and one of the Claymen, random Claymen, just walk up and holds the podium, and he's like, "I'm taking this. This is mine now." That was, like, hilarious. And there are a few moments in here that are just like that, and it's so, like, oh, that is just gold right there. And I'm sure if the jokes were included in, like, a really old episode, then they would just be instant classic jokes or instant classic episodes because of that. And that's what makes Clayworld All Gone really, really good. I definitely rate it a 10 out of 10 stars. If you haven't seen it, there's a link in the description. Go buy it for digital download. It's only $4. He's coming out with a DVD copy of it soon. And if you have the first two Clayworld DVD volumes, then he's coming out with a third one soon that will be including it on there. And actually, you know what? I'll just put a link to his store down there so you can see all the Robert Benford all the Robert Benford gold, because he's just a really, really talented comedian, and I feel like I've known him for so long that his sense of humor, I kind of adapted from it, so I kind of have like a Robert Benford style sense of humor. And I'm not going to say that I stole a sense of humor, because I mean, it's not like I sit there and write down all his jokes and recite them to people and claim that they're mine. I reference them, but I mean, yeah, Clayworld is definitely over. A lot of people are like, you should reboot it with the new Clayworld series, or you should pass on the torch and give it to someone else to take care of. And to be honest, I'm done with it. I had a great time watching all these episodes, and some episodes have been greater than others, but you know, it doesn't matter. They're still great. That's probably my favorite YouTube series for the most part. But that's all I can say about Clayworld. It's been a blast. I've enjoyed watching it probably as much as Robert has been making it, although I don't really know, because he said he's been kind of getting a little stale with animation. But yeah, if you just subscribe to Robert just for his Clayworld videos, then you should definitely check out some of his other work. He is great. He is an awesome YouTuber, and I definitely recommend him to anybody. And that's all I have to say. So thank you for watching this 13-minute review, and I will see you all in the next video. See you all later.